welcome to the Inferno Hog Barrel bomb deck. Anyway, starting off right here, I'm going to be throwing the Goblin Barrel first, then the Hog Rider. So check it out, okay? Watch how it's going to happen, alright? As soon as I hit that 10 elixir, 9.5 range, I throw the Goblin Barrel first, right? Then I throw my Hog Rider in. So the reason why I do that is so that my opponents think, oh, it's just a Goblin Barrel. So as the Goblin Barrel's traveling through the air, make sure you have enough time to deploy the Hog Rider. So as you guys can see, my opponent really thought that it was just going to be a Goblin Barrel, but surprise, it's also a Hog Rider. Ha, that's why it's called the Barrel Hog deck, right? When playing for defense, I tend to use the Inferno and Tombstone strategy deck. Tombstone being distracting troops like Barbarians, Wizards, but make sure you only use the Tombstone when it's just only on a singular unit. If there's multiple, obviously use the Inferno with the Tombstone. Obviously when you use the Inferno tower, you don't want to deploy it where there's like a skeleton army, right? Otherwise that would be terrible. But the main point of this deck is to use the Goblin Barrel first, then the Hog Rider immediately. Now as for Giant Skeleton, I tend to use it when I see a big horde of groups, so I kind of treat it like a portable rocket, if you will. So right here on the right side, there's the Barbarians, so I'm going to deploy my Giant Skeleton. Too bad this person didn't deploy a Valkyrie behind it or any other stuff behind, otherwise that Giant Bomb with 6 elixir costing would definitely take more than 5 elixir from there. The nice thing about having the Inferno is that people that use the Knight, Valkyrie, even the Baby Dragon, sometimes the Inferno Dragon, this can be really good because you can use the Inferno and Skeleton Army combination, and like if there's someone that uses a Giant, you don't have your Inferno in check, then you can use their Skeleton Army. If they deploy a Giant and you do have your Inferno Tower, then you can use it. It's like vice versa. Basically, in summary, for heavy units, you have the Skeleton Army and the Inferno Tower to choose from. But make sure when you do it, make sure it's at least like you use the Inferno Tower only or you use the Skeleton Army. It would be really rare if you would have to use the Inferno Tower and the Skeleton Army at the same time. Now as you can see on the left side of the screen, I have those Barbarians coming up and I have the Knight. So at first I was thinking that maybe I should use my Inferno Tower, but then I was like thinking, maybe I can use the Inferno for the Knight, and just in case this person drops out his Baby Dragon or any heavy unit, which this guy actually does, and surprisingly, the Inferno Tower does take out the Baby Dragon. So not only does it take out the Knight and the Baby Dragon, which is a 2 elixir trade, it also weakens the Valkyrie and gives my Skeleton Army a chance to weaken down the Valk and slow it down. So as you can see, we're at a time crunch where right now I'm at the disadvantage. So I deploy my Giant Skeleton. At this rate, I knew I'm like, oh, whoops, messed up. But once again, I deploy the Goblin Barrel first and then the Hog Rider. So make sure when you do this, you deploy your Goblin Barrel first, then the Hog Rider. So perfectly right there, I had a Giant Skeleton and that took down the Barbarians and it even weakened out the Valkyrie. So as you can see, a Valkyrie and a Baby Dragon, even a Knight, perfect Inferno use. So watch how my Inferno Tower demolishes those 3. In short, I took out 3 different troops and I got a lot of elixir benefit right there. So as you can see, I threw my Goblin Barrel first, then the Hog Rider. Unfortunately, this guy had a Valkyrie, so that was unexpected. But luckily, my Giant Skeleton Bomb exploded right there, and I won. Now, please don't say I'm BMing, because I'm actually facing a level 10 player as a level 9 player, so it's okay to BM this guy. Just so you guys know, this general term of this deck is also known for offense to start off. You can't really defend any, unless of course a Giant or a Hog Rider is thrown off, then increase your Skeleton Army. Back to action here. We have the Hog Rider over here, so I'm going to just deploy the Hog Rider only because I don't want to waste another elixir on the Goblin Barrel. So for 4 elixir, my opponent already spent 9 elixir on the Musketeer, the Skeleton Army, and the Fire Spirits. So I just deployed an Inferno Tower because I kind of have a bad encounterment. So right now I'm just waiting to see if there's like a Giant that will pop up or maybe a Lava Hound that will potentially pop out. My Inferno Tower is fairly weak, so I might need to use the Tombstone as a replacement. So as you can see, there are multiple ways of defending heavy tank units. So right here, I'm just waiting for a Giant Skeleton because I have a feeling that this person might put like extra combos right there. By the way, as you can see, this person was really, not too smart because as soon as I deployed my Giant Skeleton, this guy was freaking out and he deployed a Musketeer. So I kind of traded a 6 elixir for 8 elixir. So that's not too bad. Anyway, so, you know, my Hog Rider, and then those things, yeah, I zapped it pretty much. Oh my goodness, that was some bad commenting right there. Excuse me right there. But as you can see, my Hog Rider is doing some damage. This guy only had arrows, so that was good. I accidentally meant to type in wow, but, you know, I hit the crying emoji accidentally. And, oh wait, no, actually, maybe I did this one on purpose. Never mind. Alright, so as you can see, this guy is starting off with a wizard, so I'm thinking that he might drop off a giant, and perfectly, it's kind of like a Hog Rider. But yeah, I used my Inferno Tower, and the Inferno Tower is enough to take off the Hog Rider. Just, you know, scratch off the wizard a little bit, but I'm not going to freak out too much on it. So I'm just getting ready for, you know, maybe like some sort of big unit coming up. But since I don't have anything, you know, I just deployed the skeleton trap, or the tombstone right there. So yeah, it, you know, lures troops and it takes some time. So as you can see, the musketeers right there, and I put down the giant skeleton, and this guy puts down his skeleton army. Perfect elixir trade, gained that 1 elixir benefit trade right there. So I'm ahead of the game by like a lot of steps. So yeah, this is just exactly how I want it to be. So as you can see, this guy's putting the Valkyrie down there, so I'm just comfortable with putting my Inferno there. Because, you know, by the time the Valkyrie reaches the Inferno Tower, there's nothing. So I better get ready and deploy my tombstone because I hit the 10 elixir, double elixir time, really crazy. But yeah, once again, I put down the giant skeleton. You know, this time I thought, oh, you know what, there's a bomb and it's still active, but I guess that was some misuse over there. But anyway, this guy uses fire spirits and the Hog Rider, so I'm just getting ready, you know, at least take out the Hog Rider. That's the main objective. I thought the skeleton army could like weaken out the fire spirits so it doesn't destroy the Inferno Tower, which apparently does scratch off the musketeer a bit. Okay. At this rate, I put down the giant skeleton. This person uses the skeleton army. Nothing I can do, but my main objective is to go on to the right side and yeah, just either weaken it with arrows or Hog Rider it. Now, normally when I play Clash Royale, okay, I tend to use the Hog Rider. Like, I don't like to use spells to finish off a tower if I can. I just think it's more respectful to, you know, finish it off with a troop. Okay, so I'm pretty sure you guys are kind of tired of hearing my voice, so I'm just going to play the next replay without any commentating, and I'll let you make your own assumptions. Alright guys, this is the last replay because I have tons and tons of more, at least 10 streaks of winning replays that I can share with you guys, but I want to keep this video short, so I chose the best of, or like decks that really show like the card benefit trades. But anyway, up here I'm challenging against Clash of Clans 202. Anyway, so Clash of Clans 202 starts off with using the spawner deck, really unexpected for me. But anyway, as you can see, this guy just deployed his Goblin Hut and the barbarian hut, so I assumed that this guy's really low on elixir, so I used my skeleton army to quickly take on the tower on the right side. So normally when a person uses a spawner deck, I tend to like attack the opposite lane that the spawner spawn. So here's a perfect use of the giant skeleton army deployment right there on the big crowd. Boom! Oh, that's just beautiful right there. So yeah, at the same time though, when someone uses a spawner deck, you know, use your goblin hut thingy, or no, the goblin barrel to destroy those spawning things. So I tend to attack the barbarian hut because, you know, barbarians are stronger than spear goblins, you know, in the lengthwise. But anyway, so this guy does have his barbarians right there and his mega minions. So, you know, what's the best way to use an inferno? So perfectly used an inferno. This guy's using the Hog Rider, so I'm quickly going to switch and use out my arrows, because arrows actually do a lot of damage than you think, okay? Just because you think arrows are only good for goblins, no, it actually works for like big packs that even look like they're half health. It actually does reduce a lot of work right there. But anyway, in this case for a spawner deck, I think I would have done a lot better if I grabbed the bomber tower. But, you know, at this rate, you know, it's kind of like people are using like elite barbarians, you know, even lava hounds. So that's why I choose to use the inferno tower. So Clash of Clans 202 did get my first tower, which I was really bummed out. But this big giant bomb will replace that for me. Boom. That's some karma right there. But anyway, once again, deploy the Goblin Barrel first, then the Hog Rider. So I'm getting ready for my zap, and perfectly takes out everything right there. So now Clash of Clans 202 is on a crunch right here. So just remember, if you ever see a big horde of troops, okay, cycle to your giant skeleton as soon as possible. Obviously, if it's just like a whole pack of spear goblins, you know, you can simply just zap it or just arrow it. Alright guys, so here's the example on what not to do for a giant skeleton. Watch how I use my giant skeleton. Look, I placed it right there, and I could have used a zap spell for all of those. And essentially I kind of wasted, but you know, I guess the zap spell kind of evened out in the end. So yeah, that was good. So I'm going to quickly deploy my tombstone right there before that prince hits my inferno tower, and I want the maximum benefit. So this is the case where you can use the skeleton army and the inferno tower at the same time, is when they have two, you know, heavy hitting units. So in this case, I'm going to quickly grab my Goblin Barrel to see if I can chip off some damage. Didn't really work out well, and at this rate, I think it's really good, because as a spawner, the whole point is to keep on using those huts and keep on letting those barbarian buildings, you know, keep them generating barbs. But if I keep on like pressuring Clash of Clans 202 at this rate, you know, he's going to be using his prince, using the spear goblins, using the skeleton army. He won't have enough time to deploy a goblin hut or even the barbarian hut. I don't know if it's barbarian building or barbarian hut. Anyway, I pressured Clash of Clans 202 right here with my giant skeleton. Luckily for me, the giant skeleton was able to chip off some damage right there, so I got lucky on that part. But anyway, so yeah, Clash of Clans 202 decided to take out the Inferno, but then I quickly switched off with my skeleton tombstone. I kind of saved a 1 elixir trade because the tombstone is only 3 and the Hog Rider is 4, so I traded off at least 1 elixir right there. So I'm using my arrows because I know I have like the better elixir advantage right here, so I'm going to quickly pressure Clash of Clans 202 over here, but he counters off with the skeleton army, and I forgot about the card rotation, but he does not remember the giant skeleton actually has a bomb, so it destroyed the Mega Minion. Luckily for me, I had this advantage right here. Even if the Goblin Hut was placed before my Hog Rider, I still would have got the 2 crown because of the arrows killing off the princess and chipping off those spear goblins. So essentially it just slowed down the 2 crown. So that's pretty much it, guys. So I thought maybe, you know, I can take a break from using elite barbs because, you know, they're kind of OP as of now, in my opinion. But, you know, at the same time, I guess the skeleton army and maybe the fireball can really trade it off well. But yeah, you know, I just want to take a break from elite barbs, and I, you know, made this deck, and actually, hey, this deck actually works well. Won 10 games in a row, so safe to try.